first time you saw the Yeti was when I drove it in Europe. Closer still, you'd have probably seen the Yeti at the Auto Expo in Delhi at the beginning of 2010. Finally, there's some good news. The Yeti is now available in India, and you could walk into a Skoda dealership and pick a Yeti of your choice. But there's also some bad news. If you've bought a Laura in the last few months, you should have probably waited. And that's because the Yeti is quite an interesting looking SUV. It's innovative and funky and is quite unlike anything you've seen before. Most of your attention will be drawn to that headlamp assembly, which, combined with the familiar grille and the chunky lower air dam, make it very appealing. But move a little further behind and the Yeti is just a big box with windows, a complete contrast to that edgy front end. As far as compact SUVs are concerned, the Yeti is going to be the trailblazer here in India. Now I know what you're probably going to be saying, if it's so compact on the outside, just how good is the space going to be on the inside? Well, that was my driving position. And as you can see, I'm very comfortable here at the back. But, and you knew there was a but coming, the Yeti is also a very narrow SUV. And that means 3 people here at the back is going to be a very, very intimate affair. The interiors are quite familiar. It retains the family resemblance and you'd have already seen most of the bits on either the Laura or the Superb. The dashboard is clean, though the arrangement of all the dials and knobs does take some time getting used to. The wood trim in the top of the line elegance does not feel upmarket, though the leather seats and the two-tone colors add luxury. The Yeti has the same 2-litre common rail turbocharged direct injection diesel engine that serves in the Laura. It's a smooth and refined engine and it's also quite energetic, but it has a weak bottom end. So if you're driving this SUV on the highways, well, the engine is very relaxed and the throttle responses are quite fantastic. But the problem lies when you drive this SUV in the city. Because of that weak bottom end, you're constantly driving this car in second or third gear. Quite often you'd also find yourself in first, and that means fuel efficiency is going to get affected. But get the turbo spinning and the Yeti is a remarkably quick SUV. It does 100 km per hour in 10.4 seconds and the quarter mile in 17.13 seconds. But fuel efficiency is a mixed bag, because the engine feels strained until the tachometer touches 1750 RPM. When the turbo kicks in, you get poor efficiency in the city, which in this case is just 8.7 km per litre. It improves substantially on the highway to 16.4 kmpl, but the overall figure is still a very average 10.62. The one very likable aspect about the Yeti is its steering. It's an electromechanical power steering unit, and in the city it's very light and makes this a very easy SUV to maneuver. And on the highways, well, it's very direct, it's very precise and well balanced. But there is a drawback to the steering. Well, actually, it has nothing to do with the steering. It's the ride quality. The biggest drawback in the Yeti is its ride quality. The suspension has been set up specifically for European conditions, and well, it hasn't been tuned again for India, especially Indian roads. So what you get is a very stiff, actually make that a very harsh ride quality, and that makes driving this SUV a very uncomfortable affair. And this hard ride quality also affects the handling character of the Yeti. So if you're driving the Yeti on concrete roads, what you get is a fair amount of oversteer, especially if you're driving it enthusiastically. And the traction control system constantly kicks in, trying to keep this SUV composed. And if you're driving the Yeti on tarmac, what you get is a mild form of understeer, which actually downplays what could have been a fantastic handling package. Now, I haven't had the chance to drive the Yeti off-road here in India, but since this is exactly the same spec I drove in Slovenia, I do know it's quite competent off-road. Take a look. For what looks like a soft roader, the Yeti's ability in the dirt is seriously impressive, aided by its compact dimensions and short overhangs. An especially neat trick is the hill descent control, which works with the gear in neutral. Point the nose down, slot it into neutral, squeeze, and with your feet off all the pedals, she will roll down the hill with individual wheels braking to maintain a safe speed and ensuring no dramatics. Even with two wheels off the ground, it can make precise and controllable progress. And with the off-road mode engaged, the accelerator responds more sensitively and braking is remapped to allow more leeway.
So, as you've seen, it's not a very demanding course, but then the Yeti was pretty capable of taking all of that in its stride. Quite an easy job for it.
Here in India, the more important concern is its price. The lower Ambiente trim is very nicely priced at 14.9 lakh rupees ex-showroom Mumbai. The higher spec Elegance, in which, in addition to some comfort features, you also get the 4-wheel drive package, is a more expensive 16.98 lakhs. At either price point though, it does undercut the competition, which in this case is the Grand Vitara and the Nissan X-Trail, making it a very attractive purchase. The Yeti then is purely a lifestyle choice. At its price point or very close to it, you could choose to buy one of several sedans. But if you're the kind that loves to think out of the box, well, this box is as good as it gets.